My educational ideology, EDU224 from Vision to Reality. The learning I have undertaken during EDU224 has enabled me to think back to when I was at school and make my own ideology about the educational system. My ideology of the schooling system was built up of my own experiences, such as being on placement and being in a formal educational setting. The formal learning I undertook wasn't necessarily the correct method for myself due to having learning difficulties. This made it harder for me during school life as I found taking exams challenging. I have attended 2 primary schools and 2 secondary schools. During my time at school, I never gave much thought about different teaching and learning methods there were. I thought everyone was in the same boat. I thought it was my fault I didn't grasp the concept of certain things in lessons and why I didn't do very well in exams. There was always a lot of pressure from parents, teachers, and the school to do well in exams. In my eyes, school was just about learning all the information to gain the knowledge which enables you to gain appropriate qualifications relevant to one's future. What is an ideology? It is literally the study of knowing of ideas, especially one which forms the basis of an economic or political theory and policy. What is an educational ideology? Hill and Bartlett and Burton define education ideology as a coherent set of beliefs and attitudes that is regarded as self-evidently true, as common sense in opposition to other belief systems. However, Matheson defines an education ideology as any package of educational ideas held by a group of people about formal arrangements for education. From undertaking this module, it has allowed me to understand and think about other ideologies from educational key thinkers, such as Montessori and Steiner. These have all impacted my ideology of education now. Montessori believes that there should be no standardised testing and that children should take responsibility for their own learning. I support this view as I believe that taking exams determine whether or not you can memorise everything you've learned, and if you don't do well in exams, it can have a detrimental effect on you later in life. Steiner has similar views to Montessori. He takes a holistic approach and believes the educational system should develop a child holistically and not just academically. It is important that the child should enjoy what they are learning and should be engaging. The teacher's role is to guide them in the class to what they are learning, but also set specific tasks for each pupil which can help them overcome their individual challenges. I believe that this is a great way to help children learn. This is because many children who don't get something will sit there and struggle, as it may be something they don't get but the rest of the class does. If the teacher takes a holistic and child-centred approach, it will allow the pupils to learn at their own pace and have a better understanding overall. Things I believe are important. Finland starts school at the age of 7 years old, compared to England, who start at the age of 5. I believe that starting school later on can be more beneficial as it allows children to understand the importance of play and can understand more what children enjoy and what they can learn from. The child-centred approach is something I probably believe is the most important view that should be noticed in the educational system. Teachers and schools need to recognise that not everyone is the same and that everyone learns differently. Children cannot learn loads of things all at once, and it is important not to overload them at a young age. I also believe that when it comes to the curriculum and what has to be learned, I think that the curriculum should be there as a guide for teachers to use. It shouldn't be compulsory, as some things you learn you don't need in the real world. Ken Robinson said that all kids have a talent, but education squanders it. Creativity is just as important as literacy in education, and it should be treated as the same. I believe that it is important to allow children to play and be creative from a young age, as this allows them to take learning into their own hands and find out things for themselves through the use of play. My ideology, broken down into 5 main components, I believe are the most crucial: delay of starting age, child-centred approach, creative, children to follow their interests, and teachers. To conclude, the perfect education setting for me would be one where starting age is at 7 years old, as this allows them to learn through play in the first 7 years. School uses the national curriculum but makes use of more creativity. Make sure teachers look at a child as an individual where they can be motivated and encouraged to reach their full potential. Allow more time to play during school time, as this allows them to be more creative and concentrate better when it comes to learning. Finally, standardised testing should only be done at GCSE and A levels, but make it into an easy environment where people don't get anxious about them. Overall, my ideology emphasises the individual. This is the child-centred approach, emphasising on the individual development and their learning according to their own interests.